we need to figure out what to do with this channel. Now, by the way, I'm not complaining. The channel is doing well. Even though from the outside you may look and say, geez, Phil's playing a new release and it doesn't even get 5,000 views anymore, right? Right. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you there. But at the same time, understand the support on the streams is great. So I'm not complaining. Even though the viewership has dwindled, if anything, what this is showing, let's be honest here, is that the people who support this channel have always supported it, and everything else was just periphery views. You know what I'm saying? Like at one point, a lot of people were coming to the channel and watching the content, but they weren't supporting the content. They were just here to watch. A lot of those people have gone, but the people who actually really like the content are still here and are still supporting it. Because I haven't seen any kind of a dip in support at all. Because you're, oh my God, the sky is falling. It looks like your overall views are down on your hot new release playthroughs. Okay, but I'm still doing just as well. So does it matter? I guess not, right? It's funny because you see these biggest YouTubers out there with their millions of views, but how many of the people who are actually doing that actually are supporting the content or care about it? And how many are just there to say, I'm watching this because it's known to be popular? They might not even be watching because they like it. They just watch it because they know it's popular. Oh, I'm told this is popular, so I should watch it, right? I think what happens is you get a more dedicated, a more invested group of viewers here on DSP Gaming because they're used to the style that I put out. They like the content I put out and they want to support it. You know what I'm saying? So if that's the case, right, I still think we should cover major releases. Like, are you kidding me? If I skip God of War Ragnarok, I'd be kicking myself in the ass. God of War is my favorite game of 2018. I want to play the sequel, right? But at the same time, maybe this person's onto something, that with the decline of the popularity of new releases on this channel, because this really is a channel for a dedicated viewer base rather than the mainstream on YouTube, and maybe I should cater to that and I should work with that. You know what I mean? But what is the best solution for the future? I think this is the discussion we need to start. I do feel that way. Like, we should start looking at things in a different way. All right? I'm never going to be I'm never going to be Maximilian. I'm never going to be an Angry Joe. Because people always constantly compare me to these people I'm not. I'm never going to be an ultra-popular YouTuber who's known for covering fighting games, but it branches out and does other stuff. I'm never going to be a high-end reviewer with skits and shit. People always want to tend to compare me to things that I'm not even on the same scale of. You know? Typical example. What was it last week? That I addressed that Moist Critikal compared me or brought me up in a comparison to Boogie. Boogie. Do you know who Boogie is? He's a YouTuber with 4 million subscribers. He used to have 5 million. He used to put out videos that on the daily would get hundreds of thousands to millions of views. All right? This guy was exponentially more popular than me on YouTube. And then they bring me up in reference to someone like that as if it's the same comparison. It's not at all. It never was. When people always compared me to the Angry Joes and they compared me to, you know, other content creators, it was never a direct comparison. It was kind of an unfair comparison that was never in scale. You know what I mean? So, to me, all right, I think like what we need to do is start being more realistic about who I am, the content that I put out, who watches it, and how to proceed, you know? And I think the course here is not how to make DSP Gaming hit the YouTube algorithm right, and now we get a bunch of new viewers coming in to watch the content. I don't think that's the case. I think it's more of what we need to do is find a way to cater to those who are already here, who are dedicated, and then to convince slowly a few other intelligent people to come here and say this is why this content is what you would want, as opposed to all the other very commercialized, very homogenized, very similar content that you can find on YouTube. Let's be honest. The content on DSP Gaming is pretty different from what you would find on a typical I make a living doing gaming channel on YouTube, right? It's funny because every night as I'm going to sleep, I typically open up my YouTube app now and I just start scrolling through what's popular on YouTube. And very few long-form gaming channels like mine are even surviving, what everyone has had to do is jump basically on top of these trends. Constantly, you have to pump out a video. Oh, what happened to this person? Or what happened to this YouTuber? Or what happened to this game? Why did this game fail? The top 10 worst, the top 10 most disappointing. You know what I'm saying? Everything's like some kind of a researched docu-vid about something negative or toxic. Like, that's what's popular on YouTube now. And it's weird. It's very weird. That's, you know, because I'm looking at it, I'm like, some of this is the easiest shit you could do. I've seen people do, like, the history of classic Street Fighter, right? A video that just does a montage of, here's all the history of Street Fighter and how it progressed over time with commentary over it. Millions of views. I'm like, I could have done that easily. In fact, I have more knowledge than the person who made the video because I lived it. I grew up doing that. And I look at the content like, this is it now. This is what YouTube is. It's become this weird place where everything's almost the same. That's what's popular on YouTube. There's always a fad. And that's kind of the fad right now. Do I want to do that style of content? Not really. You know? Do I enjoy doing edited content? I do. I've done it before. I did it on KO Gaming for a whole year. And it was popular. And I had million view videos on there. But to me, as a gamer, I prefer to chill with you guys, have social interaction, and enjoy games on a daily basis. That's really where I enjoy doing the most. For me to say, guys, I'm going to do an edited style video that's like a documentary about the history of something that I know. And by the way, that means that now I have to cut down on half of my streams this week in order to do voiceovers, to get the footage together, to edit it, to, you know. I don't want to do that. I like being a streamer. You know what I'm saying? And that's where my audience is. I know that. I'm not saying that if I made a video like that it wouldn't have quality to it or maybe become popular. What I'm saying is it's not for my audience. My audience is very different than that mainstream YouTube audience, right? But what I'm looking at is, what do we do to make DSP gaming better for you, the core viewer, who's here every day, who's watching this, who wants better content? What would be better content? Does it mean to skip a bunch of new releases? Like right now, we're in the busiest time of the year, and I'm trying to juggle the new releases, and I'm having a tough time with it, right? I am. I'm absolutely having a tough time right now juggling all the new releases that are going on. Admittedly, it's not easy right now, okay? Should I actively be skipping new releases to do other styles of content, right? I guess that's the question right now. And I would absolutely love feedback on this. Okay, the more feedback I get, the better about this kind of stuff. Please let me know what you think. Please let me know, you know, what it is that you want from DSP Gaming. Because at this point, I think I do need to start listening to the viewer base and say, instead of, it's not the same formula every year where every hardcore gaming season I now try to play every game. Instead, it would be more of, you know, what's going to entertain the audience that's here to support the content. You know what I mean? I think that's more important than me just pumping out new release playthroughs constantly. I do feel that way. I feel like, you know, we're in a situation here where it makes more sense to open up to the audience and get your feedback than just ride the same formula I've done forever. So if you feel, right, if you feel that there's something different that I should be doing, please share. I'm open to suggestion. You know, let me know. Okay? Let me know. Because it's not going to be about this anymore. Support, like again, I'm playing God of War Ragnarok. I've been playing it since Wednesday. It's an insanely good game. I cannot wait to play it more today. I'll be playing it constantly for the next month and a half. You know, look at the views. The streams do all right. I'm not complaining at all about the streams, but the YouTube views for a new release, you wouldn't even know it. It's basically got the same views as any other game that I've kind of played in the last couple of months. And it's one of the hottest new releases, if not the biggest new release, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't seem to me like it's, you know, the old formula really applies anymore. So what do we do about that? Let's have a conversation. Please send me your feedback. As always, you guys know the avenues to do that. You could talk to me on my streams. You could comment on this video. You know, you leave comments all over the channel. There are many ways you can reach out to me. Like this person, you can write me an email, because that email was very informative. Although I don't directly agree with some of the things they suggested in there, the games to play, I do think that maybe it makes sense that maybe playing the same new releases as always every hardcore gaming season isn't really affecting things positively anymore, you know? So there you go. Now it's funny, guys, can I be honest with you? Because I will. I'm going to directly address something that people are saying in the chat, all right? Because I have to disagree. What have we been saying recently? All right? When I hit 40 years old this year in April, we started having a conversation, right? We did. And what was that conversation about? The conversation was that as I get older, all right, I'm going to have to change up who I am on the internet and the content that I put out, right? We had this discussion that eventually I'm not going to be able to play as many video games. I'm going to get older. My hand-eye coordination is going to start to go. I'm going to start to get carpal tunnel. I can already tell you I'm getting it in my right hand. I felt it this year. Definitively, there were times when my right hand had pain and stiffness and really was not feeling good. All right? Not every day, but some days. And the older I get, the worse this is going to get. Right? We know this. Okay? So what do we talk about? We talked about diversifying my content. And how do we talk about doing that? Well, by doing more things that are not gameplay related, right? And there was different ways we talked. We talked about maybe branching out my content to talk about other topics. We even said eventually as I get older, maybe we will talk about things like politics and stuff like that. Maybe we'll talk about current events. We talked about that, right? And then one of the things that I definitely started doing this year that was very different, right? Was the React content. That you guys liked me starting to react to things, whether it was someone else's documentary or video, whether it was, you know, live events, whatever it was, you liked the React stuff. And we did a wide variety of React stuff this year. I reacted to horror-themed content on the Rob Gavigan channel, multiple documentaries about other content creators like Wings of Redemption or Keemstar, but then also documentaries about me, right? And giving you my take on things about me. Hell, the John Rambo Howard React video. Holy shit, right? That was pretty groundbreaking, what I did. So you know what I'm saying? But what's funny is everything we talked about earlier this year makes sense. But then there's people who, like, they're still stuck in a mindset that it's 2010, you know, and they're like, well, Phil, you should just stop doing the podcast, or you should really have a very short podcast and just get right into gameplay. It's like, you've completely missed the point. Really, you had. You've completely missed the point of everything we were saying this year, that this year I needed to make a concerted effort, all right, to not just focus on gameplay. There has to be a change on this channel that I'm not just doing gameplay, because that has to change over time. I'm going to get older. People are not going to care as much about the gameplay anymore. I'm not going to be able to do as much gameplay anymore. I'm going to want to branch out and do other topics and other things. So that's what I'm trying to do. When I do the podcast every day, if you haven't noticed, it's not just me talking to myself. We're talking about topics. We're going back and forth. I'm responding directly to things that you guys are saying, right? People are telling me the podcast has its own following now. It's not just, oh, it's Phil killing time on a pre-stream before he plays games. It's Phil's podcast is its own show that we follow. And a lot of people have even told me we just watch the podcast. We don't even come for the gameplay anymore. We don't care about that. That's a good thing. All right? So how are you then going to tell me shorten the podcast or do less podcasting? That was what we said we were going to do earlier to change things this year. And this, I'll be honest with you, is very frustrating to me, because I listen to what people tell me directly, and I hear everything in my head. I say, okay, you're going to get older. You're not going to be as good at games. The gameplay on YouTube isn't even as popular anymore. Diversify your content. Do different kinds of discussion content. Do React content. I do it all. Phil, you're doing it wrong. Your podcasts are too long and you need to play more games. It's like, what the fuck did that come from? What are you talking about? No, that's not good feedback. It's just not. Saying, well, we directly told you at one point to do all of this, so you did it. Oh, that's wrong. Go back to how you were doing it. That's not good input. It's just not. I need to have input that's going to be decisive and helpful and constructive. Not, oh, we asked for all these changes, so you did them, and now go back. So Galacticate says have a set time to end the podcast so people can just be here for gameplay when they know exactly when to be here. But people do know when to be here. People know in general it's around between 12:30 and 12:45. That's when the gameplay starts every day. And they know to expect 3 hours of gameplay on the first stream and 2 hours on the late stream. That's bullshit. There's no one who's that dumb that doesn't know when the game starts. Who the fuck? I do it the same every day. Yes, every once in a while the podcast runs a little longer, by maybe 15, 20 minutes if we're on a hot topic. Who is so dumb? I'm sorry, I just don't think my viewership's that dumb. Oh, I have absolutely no clue when Phil starts playing games, despite the fact it's literally the same time every day. I have no way to know. Someone guide me and hold my hand. No, I don't think that people are that dumb. I'm sorry, I just don't. That sounds dumb. That does not sound valid to me. You know? Alright. Anyway, I will welcome input. Alright? I will welcome this kind of stuff. Let's keep the discussion going. But it's staying in line with what you guys are saying. It's 12:13 p.m. Pacific time. And if we keep talking, we won't get to gameplay on time. And then there'll be people who are so confused. They won't know where am I? Where's the gameplay? I thought there was God. Where's the God of War? Oh my God, I'm so confused. What's happening here? I don't know when Phil plays games. So we don't want that to happen. So I have to move on. We can't even keep talking about the topic because I'm being forced by the viewers to move on. You see what the point I'm making here? You see how silly this is? You see the point? The criticism I'm getting in the chat is your podcast is going too long, but now you guys want me to talk longer about that topic, which makes the podcast go longer.